what I wanted to do was just welcome you. My name is Emmanuel Pariser, and I'm one of the people that helped to start the Maine Academy of Natural Sciences as well as the Threshold program. And I will just be starting off, but maybe those of you that you can see right now, as opposed to the invisible staff that are going to try to get on, can introduce themselves as well. So, Becky?
Hi, folks. I'm Becky Dennison. I am the Dean of the Threshold program, and I have been here for less than 2 years. And I'm loving it. And then we have.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. I'm a student at Means. I've been here for a year and a half now, I think, and it's pretty fun. I like it.
Great. Good. And we're going to get a chance to hear much more from both Mackenzie and from Becky. But I wanted to thank you all for coming in the middle of a work day for many of you. And we are thrilled to present these ideas. Really, we're in favor of your stealing any ideas that you like, that you hear from us, and putting them to work in your own schools. So just a little quick intro to what the Maine Academy of Natural Sciences is. Basically, we started the idea for the school in 2010, and we started in 2011. We had 20 students. We started as an independent school, and the program was started by a program called Goodwill Hinckley, which has been around since 1887, and it started off as almost like an orphanage for kids, and served kids who didn't have families that could take care of them. And we were a big educational venture for those folks to start. And then in the year that we became an independent school, the charter school law got passed in Maine, and we became the Maine's first high school charter. So that is kind of the beginning. We started with 20 students, and just to basically give you the idea of the school, some of the key ideas. Part of it is to really provide an educational home for people that have not found traditional education working well for them. We also have a particular theme, which is agriculture and sustainability. And to that end, we actually inhabit a space, a beautiful building that is on about 1,200 acres of Maine forest land and farmland, all of which we can use. And so we have 3 greenhouses at Means, we have beehives, we have maple bush, and we do a big project tapping maple syrup from the trees. And in terms of like our philosophy, the school is very much interested in providing kind of real world education, hands-on education, stuff that's experiential. And the foundation of it is our relationships, the relationships that we build with our students. We have a very strong advisory program at the school, and it's all about connecting students and teachers and students with each other. So a couple more things. I'm going to try to keep track of time here as well. Yeah, I think that we've been going now since 2020, so we're in our 9th year, and we've grown from 20 students to about 180, I believe. That may be a little bit off one way or the other, and there are 70 students currently, or close to 70 students in the Threshold program, and Becky is going to go into more detail about that. Oh, one other thing I didn't mention is we have a big blueberry patch. I think that's very important to know. We tend the blueberries and we pick the blueberries, and yeah, it's a unique program in the state of Maine. So I will now pass this over to Becky, and go Becky.
So, okay, wait, there's some sound happening. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
It's echoing. Why? Emmanuel, I'm echoing, right?
No, I'm not hearing an echo.
Okay, stop.
But I will say I'm in my son's house who's just had twins, and he has a 5-year-old who runs around making a lot of noise. So if you do hear some noise of that nature, that's where it's coming from.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about the threshold program. Mackenzie, do you hear me echoing?
No.
No. Okay, I definitely am. I'm just going to continue on. I don't know what's going on. So Threshold, as Emmanuel said, is a very unique program in a very unique school. Threshold is now in its 4th year and was started with 20 students and 2 teachers. The students who are part of the Threshold program are predominantly students who may experience high social anxiety. We have, and just a traditional large classroom doesn't work for them. They don't excel there. We have a handful of teen parents in Threshold. We have a few students who work full time to help support their families. So those are the students who have made their way to Threshold and the students who are excelling in Threshold. The program is definitely not for everybody. You have to be a bit of an independent learner to make it work. And also have some kind of support in your home life or get all the support you need from the teachers. And you'll hear more about that, how that works. So Threshold, just a quick little bit of the structure of the program. So now we've grown. We started 4 years ago with 20 students. Now we have 70 students and 7 teachers. So we're getting bigger and bigger every year, which is wonderful because a lot of the students that are in the program just were totally not engaged with school at all. So we're not stealing them from another school. We're helping them to stay connected and to continue to be successful or to start being successful in their education. So teachers meet face-to-face. This is pre-COVID. They would meet face-to-face with their teacher, with each student once a week for 2 hours. And then our school is 4 days a week because we go all through the summer because we have an agricultural focus. So they meet face to face once a week, and then they're in contact with their students every other day, all the other 3 days. So they really work on that 1 day a week. They really work on that relationship and that connection that they have. So, teachers they're meeting with maybe 3-4 students a day to fit them all in, but then they're also in contact with all of their other students. So that's a little bit about the structure of Threshold. And we will circle back around and I'll talk some more about the program. Right now, I'm not positive if Grace has been able to log in here. I see her name, but not her face. She's in. Grace, can you hear me? I can't hear Grace. So, okay. While we try to figure that out, I see Grace's name, but not her face. Anyway, so Stephanie has come in the room where I am, so I'm going to step away, and Stephanie is going to present about her role. She is our special ed teacher. We've got 7 teachers, and one of them is a special ed teacher. So Stephanie's going to talk about that and what it's like working with students with IEPs and Threshold. Thank you. You can take your mask off.
Yes, I am. She's a bit taller than I am, so I'm going to. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Ward. I'm a special educator. I've been teaching for 30-something odd years, and this is a big change from what I'm used to. I always said that when I had my full class of special ed students that one-on-one, these kids are marvelous. It's just putting them in a room together that the challenges happen. So now I have the opportunity to work with the students one-on-one. And I was right. You don't get a lot of the problems that they come in with in a regular classroom. They don't have an audience. So we find that when we go back to write a new IEP, they're needing less support. They don't need the timeouts or the behavior modification programs or things like that, because they're getting their needs met one-on-one. Their attention is being grabbed by a teacher, and it's just more comforting for them, and they're successful. They don't have to compete with anybody else to try to get the grades, and it just works. Again, I want to reiterate what Becky said. It doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't matter if it's a special ed student or a regular student. This person has to be an independent worker. We can get them so far to be an independent worker, but if they need to know what they want to do, they need to be able to plan how they're going to get through their day. As far as I go, because of their special ed, my students, I do have a work log like the other teachers, but I break their work down for each day and tell them about how much time they should expect to be on it. As a freshman, when they come in, I start them out at about 1 hour of homework, independent work a day, and try to bring that up to an hour and a half, knowing that there's special needs. They're working twice as hard as the average student, as a regular student. And then with my juniors, I try to push them to 2 hours and to 2.5. And then seniors, because it's crunch time, it's pretty flexible, and I add extra time for them. By seniors, we're hoping that they realize what they need to do, and they push themselves, which is often the case. I do have a study session on Fridays for any special ed student that I can't meet with person if they need extra help, because I am on consult with half of our population, and I directly service half the population, which is 8, and then 16 special ed students altogether. But with the other 8 that I don't see, there's a lot of consult going by. We meet every Friday, and we talk about students, and we talk about hotspots, and give suggestions to each other. So there is a lot of time to dive into each individual problem and to help solve the problems. So, and again, like I said, if a student isn't proceeding and getting special help, if I'm hearing it, if the student isn't reaching the goals that we want, I can give them extra help on Fridays. That's an open block for any student. So let's see if as far as our IEPs go, same regulations, same rules. I work with a wonderful person as my director, and she's right on top of it. She knows what each student needs, and I'm just happy for her. She's also is a big promoter of a 504 plan, so that these students, once they get out into the community, they're not just dropped off. We get them ready to work and supply them with what they need to be successful. I think I've covered it all, but we can go back to any questions.
Yeah, Steph, I was wondering if you could just maybe just talk about one student where you really saw some growth through this approach. A student that would be one of your that would be great.
We had a student that was a super senior, second year on being a senior, and she was here long before, because I just started, so she was here long before I was. But she'd start off really strong at the beginning of the year, and she'd get a new teacher, and then just end up doing nothing practically for the end of the year. So after her 5th year here, she realized what she needed to do. She saw what she needed. All students have the ability to go into Empower and to look at their targets and to see what they need, and are encouraged to design their own program to fulfill each target. She had that opportunity, and she is a success story. Hopefully she's going on to college now, so that would be great. Yeah. Oh yes, I do have a student that just started with me. He was in the in-building school, and during the COVID restrictions, the teachers noticed that he really worked well by himself. He wasn't getting distracted, and he could get more than what was expected finished. He was actually ahead of his class. So it was recommended that he join us in our program, and he's severe in his disability, but he's just working on his own and happy to do so. And he just keeps asking for more and more work. So he has a plan of graduating early. And I think he will. Grace, are you able to talk now?
Yeah, Grace, I think you're on, Grace, if we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Steph. That was great. So Grace looks like she's frozen at the moment. um, maybe refresh, Grace. I'm not sure. So we might want to come back to Grace.
Yep.
I'm thinking so.
We can talk to Mackenzie.
Oh no! Wait a minute. She seems to be thawing out here. Well, we still need to. You need to turn your sound on. Okay. Well, I think we'll be able to come back. Oh no! It's
Your sound's not on, Grace.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk with Mackenzie. So Mackenzie is, as she said, she's in her second year with us here, and has the goal and the plan of graduating. Our graduation is in July. Like I said, we go into the summer. So Mackenzie, we'd love to hear a little bit of the challenges and the benefits that you see as from the perspective of being a threshold student. So what are some benefits of threshold and also some challenges, whichever one you want to share first?
The only challenges.
Can I?
What was that?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can. Now we can.
Okay.
Okay.
I am experiencing some issues, but I will come on after Mackenzie.
Okay. Okay. So Mackenzie, challenges that you've experienced?
The only challenges that I've experienced is like, it's not like how it normally is with normal schools. You don't see like your friends face to face like every day back to back, which is like a little hard because like I've made a lot of new friends there and they're all wonderful. It's been beneficial more than it has with any challenges. It's helped with my anxiety. It's helped me grow into a better person. I do my schoolwork a lot more than I used to do it. I want to graduate this year. It's a fun school. It's nice. It's helpful.
So benefits to you, it's helpful with managing your anxiety and not needing to come into like a school with a lot of students.
Yeah.
And part of, if we can get Grace on, she'll talk a little bit about, one of the goals of our program is to help students stay connected with their peers and with their community. So that's one thing, as Mackenzie said, is a little bit of a challenge, not seeing them every day. But Mackenzie, do you want to talk a little bit about, you are taking a college class and you've had some experience with other college classes. You want to talk a little bit about that? Because that is a dual enrollment opportunity that students have.
Last year I took an English college class, and I passed it with a very good grade. This year I decided to take on 2 college classes. I was doing really good at first, but I started struggling and falling behind in one of the classes, so I had to drop it. But I'm still in a history of rock and roll class. It's one of my favorite classes I've taken for a college class. It's fun. It's a different environment. Like the college online courses is completely different than like the high school online courses. So it was like a whole different thing for me to learn, especially because the college I'm doing it through changed websites and programs and everything. So it was a bit stressful in the beginning, but I've got it under control now. I have, I think, an overall grade of a B or so right now,
That's
but
awesome.
it's fun. I like it. It's not as stressful as I thought it would be.
So when you graduate, you will have two successful college classes,
Yeah.
right? When you graduate. Um, so can you talk a little bit about how it works with your connection with your teacher, like having one teacher that teaches all of your subjects to you? Because in Threshold, each student has one teacher, and that teacher is responsible for all of the delivery of all the subjects. So can you talk a little bit about that, how that is for you, and how does that compare to like a traditional public school?
I like it. It's easier for me. It's January is really nice and I trust her. Some of the subjects that I have been doing, she's had to learn them with me, so we've been learning them together. Um it's I like the one teacher more than multiple teachers, like for the subjects, learning subjects, because they know the specific way that you like to learn and they're not gonna like
Right.
push you to do it a different way that'll throw you all off balance.
Right. So it gets to be very individualized and very, you can like do a history project based on something that you might be interested in, not just the prescribed thing that everybody is working
Yeah.
on. And how about having your high school teacher to sort of coach you along or be there as support for your college class? Is that adding some benefit to that?
It's it was really helpful. She helped a lot with the physical science class. She was learning a lot of that with me as I was learning it, but I had to drop that one. She helps me with this one too when if I come across something that it just stresses me out. I'll send her a message and she'll help me get through it. Or we'll get onto Zoom and we'll work through it.
So having that support and that person who is kind of like they've got your back through it and
Yeah.
can say you can do this and maybe like take a breath and then go look in this other place for the resource you need or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what we hear from a lot of our high school students who are doing dual enrollment. So another thing that we do as part of Threshold is once a month we bring as many of our Threshold students together on campus. We've only done one this school year. We've done a couple of them on Zoom. We've done one in person, and it was all outside. And we wore masks and did some really cool activities outside. But I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about those Threshold Mondays and what you get out of them and what they mean for you.
The Threshold Mondays, they were my favorite thing last year, and they still are, even though it's completely different this year. It's more hard, like, because it's not the same interaction as it was last year.
Right. Yeah. You have 40 people on a Zoom instead of
Out like
outside
at the
and hanging out.
school. But it's fun. We do different, like, there's different activities that we do to get different credits for things that we have to close out in order to graduate. Some being little arts and crafts type things, and others being like actual worksheets and actually having to do something. Others, I think, I don't know how to word it. January and I were talking about it last year about how when we go out in the school and how we're going out and about and like learning different things that also adds on to credits, like certain credentials that we need.
Meeting some graduation requirements and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. True. And that's one thing that we really do a lot, and the teachers are so good at thinking creatively about is how can you meet some of those requirements through activities and projects and hands-on stuff. So that's really cool. So Mackenzie, is there anything else that you want to add? I'm just looking at our notes. Like, how does this compare, or like what kind of brought you to Threshold? Like, what was going on, not specifically, but for you in traditional public school before this?
I wasn't doing good in public schooling. I didn't get along with many kids. I had a small circle. I had maybe 1 to 2 friends. Slowly started to stop going and just lost kind of hope in schooling at that point. And after like a few years, one of my doctors or someone that I would go talk to, she told me about the Threshold program and about this really nice school that's up in Hinckley and how she thinks it would be wonderful for me. And I told her that I would want to give it a try to graduate and go on to do what I want to do in life instead of staying like a dropout student forever, because I didn't want that. And it helped. Like this, I went the first Threshold Monday, and I think after that is when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick to this.
And here you are.
Yeah.
One more quick thing. Do you have thoughts about what you want to do after high school?
I either want to go into paleontology, astronomy, or marine biology.
Awesome. Great options. So, Mackenzie, thank you so much. Stick with us because we may ask you more questions. And now, Grace, are you able to get? Grace, are you able to get on and speak? Grace.
Well, while we're waiting for Grace, I was wondering, one of the things that Grace was going to talk about was kind of what a typical meeting might look like. And Mackenzie, could you describe like what happens? Like how does it work like on a day that January is coming to work with you? What does that look like?
So last year she would come into the house and we'd Annabelle, stop. I'm sorry, my dog. I'm sorry. She would come into the house, we'd sit at the dining room table, and we would both like get onto our computers and figure out a plan of what to do for that day within the amount of time that we had for me to get done. And we would work on that all for the whole time that she would be here. We'd get it finished, and I would continue to work for the days that she wasn't here. But now with COVID, it's kind of different. With the beginning of COVID, she would come over still and we would do outside meetings. And then as it started getting colder, everyone decided to just do strictly online meetings, which is a little bit more difficult because some of the things that I need help with, she like can't help with over the computer, but we end up figuring it out anyways.
Oh, that sounds so. And she would stay for about 2 hours with you, or what? Generally speaking.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Yeah. And would other people are there other people in the house at the time, or is everybody at work, or how does that work?
Yeah, my gram would be either in the living room or she would come up here where my room is now because someone else lives up here. And then my sister would be in her room just watching TV. She'd come out to say hi to January and stuff here and there. Sometimes my little 5-year-old sister would even come running out and say hi to January.
Question. It looks like Grace is maybe getting ready to. Are you getting close, Grace? Can you give us a thumbs up if you're not sure? Okay. One other question. How supportive is your family of your doing this program? It's a very different kind of program. How supportive are they, and how do they support you in it if they do?
They're actually very supportive. They know that school wasn't really my thing, like my freshman to junior year, but I think they've realized that this helped me a lot, so they kind of push me to do more than they normally would have. If I get a little too overly stressed with schoolwork, they either try and calm me down or they tell me to text January and ask her what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're very supportive. They think that it's a wonderful program.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you guys hear me? Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So there's no promises that this won't cut out on me in 30 seconds. That's been about how long I can maintain my face on the screen before it says reconnecting. So I'll do my best. So I'm a threshold teacher. I have been with the program. This is my 3rd year with the program, and my 7th year within the Maine Academy of Math Sciences. So we are a. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. So we're a standard-based school. So threshold teachers all become familiar with all of the standards throughout each subject area. This makes creating interdisciplinary projects much easier. For instance, if I assign a project on...
We just lost you.
Still hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah, try without the video on, Grace. Try it, see if it's clearer without the video.
So, folks, so not only do our students live in rural Maine and struggle with internet connection, our teachers live in rural Maine also, and some struggle with internet connection.
Yeah. This is why we need, broad.
Yeah.
You want to try again, Grace? Or no?
Try again.
Okay. Well, maybe Becky and I can sort of pick up, and then Grace, when you get connected, just holler.
I was going to show our really short little promo video while I spoke, but maybe I'll just show that it's like less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
Should I share that?
Yep.
So this, hang on 1 minute. So I'm going to share my screen, at least I think I'm going to. And this is a video we put together, and it's just homemade and has a lot of great photos of our students and teachers working with the students, and gives you a visual of what it looks like. Let's see.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes?
Okay. I'm back whenever you want me to, unless you want me to keep going right now while I'm here.
You could talk now.
Okay, cool. So I'll pick up where I left off, which is just sort of explaining how it makes it easy for us, easier. It's obviously not easy work ever, but understanding and being familiar with the standards within each subject area allows for us to give an assignment, like a science assignment, and incorporate ELA targets as well. Saying somebody chooses, if I give an assignment, a project, usually I allow them the choice of how they want to present the information. So they can do an audio presentation, they can create a PowerPoint or Google Slides. Oh, man, I don't think you can hear me again. Okay. You can?
Yep. So the teachers are extremely flexible and creative and work with their students. They also work with each other. Each of the 7 teachers has a different focus that they, were trained in and went to school for. So they share a lot of curriculum and they support each other a lot.
I think I'm back, Becky.
And what Grace was saying is that they really learn all of our graduation requirements well. What was that, Grace?
I just said, I think I'm back. Am I back? Yeah.
Well, yep.
Okay, fantastic. So whatever we design, whatever we create, we do our best to incorporate as many disciplines as possible. So while students are working on science, they're also working on ELA. They can target, depending on what the project is, usually within every single project, they're targeting multiple disciplines. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I think it's been touched upon briefly, obviously I've been floating in and out of this presentation myself, so I'm not entirely sure, but our entire school, whether we're in the building or in the freshman program, pride ourselves on our relational model.
So as Mackenzie was talking about a little bit earlier, the relationship with the teacher and students, that really is key. Even though we're a hybrid program, so they're not seeing their students every day as you would if you were a teacher in a traditional school or a brick and mortar school. But that the relationship that they build with their students is really, really key to help students stay connected and also follow through with the work that they need to do, because they know that it's not just a random thing, but it's a thing that they and their teacher, January or Grace or Stephanie, talked about. So they have that first name basis connection with their teachers.
I think one thing too is I'm right now hanging out with a 5-year-old who's really into superpowers, and one of the superpowers that threshold teachers have is that they see the gold in the students that they're working with. They see the capacity, even if it hasn't really been tapped or the student doesn't believe in themselves anymore. They will see that and they will work with that. And that can only be done when you really have established a relationship and somebody, has really been listening to the student about talking about their lives, talking about how hard certain subject matter is. So I think, Grace and January and the whole crew are just amazing at finding the strengths within students and then building on that. And if any of you have had that experience, with a benefactor of some sort, somebody who sees wow, you can really write well, you articulate things well and expresses that and supports you, it just unlocks a huge door for potential. And so I would say that was one of, maybe not the only, but a real important superpower that threshold teachers have.
It's part of the interview, for sure. I'm going to attempt to show you this video.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, that's fine. We seem to be dealing with things that maybe don't work. Hang on, folks. Hang on. We're getting there. Spinning its wheels. I don't want to show you that. Okay, can Emmanuel have you on the video? Can you see the video on the screen? Tell me yes or no.
Yeah.
Yep, we can see it.
Hey, dude. It's not working.
Well, the sound isn't working, but the pictures are. So that's a meeting between students. That is a threshold model.
Maine Academy of Society is offering the threshold program.
I
Bring
didn't
school
realize.
your interests. You need to be motivated.
The sound isn't working. So there's a story right there. Yeah. And there's Grace. There's very inspiring music behind it. So just, it's great to see. Oh, can't hear you. Put your sound back on, Becky. Nope, you're muted. Yeah. Maybe stop sharing your screen or something. I don't know. We can't hear you. Nope. Can you hear Becky, Mackenzie?
No.
No. Technical difficulties were had.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Great with kids, not with technology. But it worked when I started earlier. So I guess I will talk just a little bit more about threshold and some of the like as an administrator of the program and trying to like keep the program going in the right direction and everyone going together in the right direction. I'm hearing an echo. Is anybody else? No. So some challenges this year has been particularly since March particularly challenging. But we have, and then Grace was going to talk about this some, a few things that have actually shown up as silver linings that, since COVID, like being a little bit more adapting with the face-to-face meetings. We're not doing those face-to-face right now. In the spring, when it was warmer, in the summertime, they were meeting outside with students. So now they're doing more. It's really hard for a student and a teacher to stay focused and working for 2 hours on a computer straight. So now they're splitting their work sessions up and they're doing 2 1-hour sessions. Like Stephanie was saying, she's doing a lot of quick check-ins with her students because they need that constant sort of check-in from their teacher. So that has really shifted. That's a bonus we've discovered. I'm not sure what else Grace was going to say about that. Maybe she can pop back in. But one thing that the Threshold program allows us to do is we really are able to work with the whole student. So we can come at this work with like a whole student approach. And it may be that something in life is just being so disruptive and taking so much energy and focus from the student that they just are not able to do their math work. So our goal is to help them to do their math work and to help them to, make progress in school and graduate and, have a post-secondary plan and all of those things. Our goal is also to support them in learning ways that they can do that because we're not always going to be here. We want them to be able to like rely on themselves and learn some real self-advocacy skills. So that's something that we also really work on. We have a really great social worker who works with our program and with the campus program. So he works with students who have social work services on their IEP on a regular basis, but he's also available to work with any student, on a regular basis or just once, whatever is sort of needed. He can, recommend, help a student figure out where to get a case manager or where to get counseling or talk with them about job search or what they're interested in. So it's anything, like the whole gamut of sort of services and support that you can think of. He doesn't act as a weekly counselor for students because we need him in the building and we need him to work with everybody. But he is that connection to those services. So we're really fortunate with that. We also, in the building, restorative practices is one of our it's part of the backbone of the school is restorative practices. And in threshold, we don't so much find ourselves having to, with the need to have circles, like restorative circles, because it's mostly, it's the one-on-one work. But we definitely have used a restorative approach with students, teachers, myself. I have had a meeting with a student and a teacher and myself, and it was about attendance. And we use like the restorative circle model with that, and it was really, really amazing how well it worked out. So just going at everything from a restorative approach, that has really worked. Like Emmanuel said, really seeing the gold in every situation and every student. So pushing ourselves to be able to do that.
Becky, I just wondered if I could just jump in for a second. Grace, are you able to go, or are we still in?
Purgatory?
Yeah. Nope, doesn't sound like it. Well, I just wanted to say too that this program is not a magic bullet. So, we have students like Mackenzie that's what floats us along. That's what makes us feel good about doing the work that we're doing, because she's really jumped into it, taken hold of it, and is really using it to get her life moving in a good direction, in the direction she's choosing. There are also students that really don't respond to this model, or don't respond right away. I mean, we really literally have students that won't answer the door when the teacher comes, or they try to say that they have some other appointment, at the same time, or they had to do this or they had to do that, who still are really very avoidant of school, even when school comes to them. So sometimes it really pays off to keep working with those students, and sometimes it's just not a fit. So that is case by case, situation by situation kind of decision that we and the student and their family have to make. Like, is this working for you? Becky's very deeply involved in those moments when we just really have to talk about, like, okay, if this isn't working, let's figure out something that's going to work better for you. I just want to point that out, because it's not 100% success rate by any means with us.
Yeah, and that's part of the initial conversation, with the student and parent, guardian, like, is this a good fit? And I really want to sit down with the student. I don't, sometimes I'll get a phone call from a parent or a guardian. I want to get my kid into this program. I want to sit and I want to look at the kid and say, this is what it is, how does this feel for you? So it's definitely does not work. We have had students, we currently have a student who's in the program who dropped out last year. And then this fall, she came back. Like, it was heart-wrenching for the teacher to take these withdrawal papers to the student and still be supportive and still be kind and still be, like, I'm here for you if and when you're ready. And she came back this fall. I'm not sure how much traction she's really gaining, but every time and every step is a step in the right direction. Every time that somebody kind of reapproaches their educational opportunities. So it may or may not be the right fit for this kiddo, but we'll see.
One thing too, we're kind of coming to the close, so I really hope if people have questions, either you get in touch with us through our email address, or phone call or whatever, or put a question in the chat. We can just keep talking. But if there are questions that you all have for Mackenzie or for Becky or myself, probably not Grace right now, because she's still not on the connection, I don't think. We'd love to have that. And one thing I wanted to mention too, when I wasn't kidding about stealing the idea. One of the things that we've gotten is a federal grant through the Charter School Improvement Program at a federal level. And we got it specifically for expanding threshold. So I would hope that other schools or other districts that were interested in doing something like this, especially in the charter world, could apply for something similar and perhaps use our model as an example of what you wanted to do. So I think that's an interesting opportunity, and we can certainly talk to you more about that, should anybody be interested. But I wanted to put those two things in, and if you have questions, please put them in the chat and keep going.
Yes.
Mackenzie.
I just looked at the chat. Yes, and we would be happy to meet with anyone individually. The other thing, like challenge, we've talked about the challenges for students. It's also a challenging model for teachers because they're out there, they're on their own. We meet once a week together. We have a 2-hour meeting together once a week, either nowadays on Zoom or in person. So we have a couple ways of keeping the team close and keeping people feeling connected and supported. Those meetings, those weekly meetings, and then I have a monthly meeting with each teacher for us just to sit down and go review all of their students and see how they're doing, how this, all the students doing. Also, how's the teacher doing, out there in the world. So that's just another support. And then we also have our social workers available, not only to students, but to teachers also. And then we used to have a text group where we could text each other, and then not everyone has iPhones. So we've gone to WhatsApp, which is a free app. And we have our Team Threshold WhatsApp group. And that is we're on that daily, different times. There's real questions about NUIA. Hey, I can't get my student logged in. Who can, who knows whatever it is, who can help me troubleshoot this? To I've got this particular situation with a kid who's experienced this, or hey, I need some resources on physics. Who's got some help with that? Stuff like that. And then we have a second group. So that first one it's not optional. Everyone has to be a part of that because that's important. And I'll send updates and stuff to folks on that. Our second group is our community chat, which is kind of hanging out in the lunch or meeting at the water cooler or, chatting in the parking lot. So that is optional. You have to ask to be joined into that. And that is, a lot of photos of our dogs and our grandchildren and what we're having for dinner and whatever happens, I feel like it's super important for keeping us together and knowing that your colleagues have your back.